I'm continuing the Akkadian grammar, the inductive Akkadian grammar of the prologue of Hammurabi. And we are picking up on line 50 of the third section of the prologue. It's after we talked about Telitum, line 49. And so I'm picking up there, and someone following me will need to have a transliteration of the prologue to follow the grammar. One can find that in Borger, or possibly, I think, I tried to look for it, I couldn't come up with it, but possibly somewhere on Google, or possibly somewhere on YouTube, or maybe Google Books. One might be able to find it, where it would be in the public domain. So at any rate, I'm following Borger's, and then I'm normalizing it and then doing the grammar on my own, seeking to understand the grammatical analysis of the Akkadian. So we pick it up on line 50, and Hammurabi is describing all that he has done. He has made Kutha preeminent. He has expanded every kind of facility for Islam. He is the fiery wild bull who gores the foe. He's beloved of Tutu, the one who brings joy to Borsippa. He's the devout one. He is never neglected at Zida. He is God among kings. He's acquainted with wisdom. He's the one who extended the cultivated land that belonged to Dilbat. He stores up grain for Urash, the mighty one. He is the Lord. He is adorned with scepter and crown, the one whom the sage Mama brought to perfection, who laid the plans for Kesh, who makes many wonderful banquets for Nintu. He is the solicited perfect one who fixes the pastures and watering places for Lagash and Girsu. He provides wonderful sacrifices for Aninu, and he is the one who seizes the foe, and he is the favorite of Telitum. And we've already discussed the grammar up to that point, if I'm following my own notes correctly. Sometime in the future, I would like to do my own normalization, as I did in the epilogue. But that will come after we talk through the grammar, where I can have some time to possibly do that. So we're in line 50, part 3, and so I'm reading beginning in line 50. He is the one who is going to fulfill the oracles of Halab. Mushak Lil Tertu Shah Zabalam. And as we look at the grammar here, Mushak Lil, if we were going to look at the transcription, it would be Mushak Li Il, and normalizing it would be Mushak Lil, is a sheen participle from Kalalu, to fulfill. So the one who fulfills the oracles, Tirtu, is the noun meaning oracle, and teratim is the genitive singular, the one fulfilling of the oracle. We could take it as a genitive singular with a sort of a collective meaning, or it's possible we could even take it as a genitive plural, the fulfiller of the oracles. Of the next name, the one who fulfills the oracles of Halab. Here we have Shah Zabalam in my following of Borger. The Sumerian was Za, Suh, Unu, Ki. The oracle's Shah is the relative pronoun of Zabalam. And so the one who fulfills the oracles of Zabalam. It is interesting. I'm just looking at Meek's note here of that in the Annette, a city of Babylon, yet unidentified. He translated Halab. But again, I'm following Borger, and I had Zabalam. So then we go to the next phrase, the one who makes glad. Muhadi, the one who makes glad the heart. Li-ibi, normalized as libi, the making glad of the heart. Ishtar, of Ishtar. Muhadi is from the root hadu, to make happy or to make glad. It's a D participle, masculine singular, from hadum or hadu. The D participle here, we have the mu prefix and the doubling of the middle radical in the D, much like what we have in the PL stem in Hebrew. So the one who makes glad, the heart, the one making glad of the heart of Ishtar. Li-ibi, normalized as libi, is a genitive singular, meaning heart, and Ishtar, basically Ishtar, and I'm following again, is a Semitic name for Inanna. I'm following Meek's notes on the work in Annette, ancient Near Eastern text. And then as we continue in the next line, Rabum Elum, the prince pure, or the pure prince. Meeks rendered it the illustrious prince, the pure prince, whose lifting of his hand, Sha ni ish ka tishu. So Sha ni nish ka tishu. Lifting of his hands. Nish means lifting. It's in construct here with katishu, and katu meaning hand. Katishu would be of his hand, and shu is the pronoun suffix, third masculine singular, of his hand. So the lifting up of his hand, Adad, or Ishkur, Dinger Adad, Iddu. Iddu means to know in an intimate sense, like the Hebrew yada, to know. So, whom Adad knows. Here we have a G subjunctive, third, G preterite subjunctive, third masculine singular from idu, to know. What is interesting here, Meek rendered that whose prayers Adad recognizes or knows and gives attention to or embraces. So it reminds me of Psalm where we have the Lord knows, meaning he embraces the way of the righteous. Yada is used in Psalm 1. And again, the lifting up of the hands, I believe, was the posture of prayer. And so, whose lifting up of the hands, and it's rendered whose prayers by Meek in his translation, Adad recognizes. Now, Adad, let's ask, who is Adad? And when we look at the name Adad, we're looking at the weather god. And so he is the god of the weather, who controls the weather. And I'm following the note in ancient Near Eastern text and net. And then in the next line, who pacifies the heart of Adad, who munehe, the one soothing. We have a D participle, masculine singular, from nehum, to pacify or soothe. Libi, normalized as libi, who the soother of the heart, we could say, the soother of the heart of Adad, or Ishkur. And then and Ishkur recognizes it or knows it in like an intimate way. And then he does that in Uru im bit karkara, in bit kakar. And again, we're looking at a place name, and I have no note in detail about that particular place name or place. So then we move on to the next line, who always maintains, or the maintainer of the property of yu gal gal. Mu ushta akiin is the transcription. Mushtakin means to maintain. And I'm understanding this as a DT participle, to maintain, or to set in place, provide for, from the stem shakanu, to set in place. And it sort of reminds me of the shachan, where the cloud filled the, can I say, the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle. And it's also interesting to me as a Christian minister that in John 1, we have the word as skenosin from Sakan, pitched his tent among us, speaking of the incarnation of Jesus. And so he maintains or set in place the properties of Ugalgal. And here we have Shumatim, the setting in place of the property. Simatim is from sim two, and it's an accusative. It's a genitive, the one setting in place of the property. And we could see it possibly as a collective singular. Inna iud galgal. In iud galgal. Inna is the preposition meaning in, and you galgal. The king who then gave life to Adab. We have Sharum and the Sumerian Lugal, capital Lugal, Nadin. If we're normalizing it, it would be Nadin, a G participle, masculine singular from Nadanu, to give. And I'm thinking of the Hebrew Natan, to give. So the king, the giver, or the one who gives, Napishtim, the giver of life. And here we have Napishtim, normalized as Napishtim from Napishtum, meaning life. And Utnapishtim, my mind goes to the Babylonian flood account. And then he gives life to Adab, Ana Adab. And Ana is the preposition to, and Adav, the Sumerian, would have been capital UD, capital NUN, and then Ki, showing a place name. It was a city, again, I'm reading the Annette note, or the note in ancient Near Eastern text. It was a city of the Euphrates in central Babylon, and its deity was Ma, and her temple Ima. This is on page 165 of Annette. And then he continues, the director, or the one who gives life to Adab, the humble. We could render this Asher, the humble one of the house. Or I noticed that Meeks has the director of the temple of Ima. Bitim is your genitive singular from bitu, meaning house or temple. I think of bayit, or bait, beit lechem, house of bread. So bitim, the director, or the humble one, depending on how we translate asher, of the temple of Ima. And then he continues, he's also the chief of kings. Etel Shari. Etel, normalized, meaning chief, and Shari is the plural. We could take it as a genitive plural. The chief and Atel is in construct with Shari, the preeminent one, or the Lord, chief of kings. And he's again bragging on himself here And the chief of kings, a fighter without peer, is the way it was translated in a net. Kabal is from kablu, and here kabal is in construct. It's sort of like the Lord of Battle, la machariim, not literally with an opponent or opposite. In other words, there's no one that could really compare with him, not with an opposite, macharim. Then we move on to section 4, where Hammurabi continues describing what he has done. Shu ikiashu, the one who gives. Shu is your personal pronoun, third person. He, understood, who gives. Ikishu is your G preterite, in my understanding, third masculine singular from kiashu. So the one who grants or gives, napshatam. The one who granted life, napshatam, meaning life. Here we have an accusative, a singular in the So the one who granted life, Anna Mashkan Shapir. Anna means two, and Mashkan Shapir, and I notice it can also be read Ma'ashan or Mashkan Shabrim. So the one who granted life to Mashkan Sabrim, a city not far from Adab, according to the note in Anat. And then the provider of abundance for Meslam, Mu She Eshki, line 4, or yeah, it's we're under 5 now, and following Borger and the way he has put the numbers, Mu She Eshki, meaning the provider or the one providing, Nu Uchshiim, the provider of abundance. Another participle in construct with Nuchshu, which means abundance. Here we have the genitive singular again in the im. So the provider of abundance, Ana Meslam, for Meslam. The provider of abundance for Meslam, the wise, Imkum, from Imkum, the wise one, Mutabilum. Mutabilum, I'm understanding this as a GTN participle used in an iterative sense. The one who continues to administrate or to carry out administration, from the root wabalu. So the one who is a participle again, GTN. Notice the again from tabal or wabalu, we have the tab and bringing the GT and the A and the repetition of the B here, tabilum. So the one who carries out administration, or the administrator, shu ikshudu, who has reached. Shu is your pronoun, third person masculine pronoun. Who ikshudu, who reached. The root here is kashadu, and it means to reach. Again, I believe we are looking at a G preterite, third person singular from kashadu. So the one who reached the depths, na ka'ab urshi'im. Nakab is in construct with urshim. So the one who reached the depth or the source of wisdom. And nakab is from nakbu, meaning source, or so we could understand this like profound wisdom. The one who has reached the depth of wisdom, speaking of himself as having profound wisdom. Then in line 11, mu ush pa azir, and normalizing it as mush pazir. And I'm understanding this as a sheen participle, the one who shelters, from pazaru, to save or shelter. So the one who shelters, nishi malgin, the people of Malgin, Ma'al Naga Ki. So we could translate this Malka, could be rendered that way as well. So the rescuer, the one who saves, the participle then followed in construct with nishi, the rescuer of the people, nishum meaning people. Here we have the genitive singular, the rescuer of the people of Malka from trouble. Malka was a city, according to the Annette Note again, conquered by Hammurabi in the 9th year of his reign, and punished for a revolt in his 34th year. Was the seat. It was also the seat of Enki and his consort Damgalnun Nuna, Damgalnuna, the mother of Marduk. So then we continue in the next line. In the same line, I should say, in Karashim. In Karashim, which means disaster or trouble. So the rescuer of the people of Malka in trouble. And looking at what we just read, seems to be what is being referenced here. Then in line 14, it reads, Mushar Shidu. Mushar Shidu would be the founder of the dwelling places, Shubati Hashim, of the dwelling places for them in abundance, in Nu Uchshiim. So Mushar Shidu, the founder, here we have a sheen participle, masculine singular, from rashadu, to found, or to lay a foundation. Notice we have the mu prefix, the sha infix, and the root is rashadu. So we're looking at a participle, a sheen participle, I believe. The founder of the dwelling places. The shubtu means a dwelling places. Shubat puts it in the plural, and the founder of the dwelling places, shubati, a genitive, plural. So the founder of the dwelling places for them, Shem, is the dative, and we would render that for them here, in abundance, in nu'uchim, in the transcription from normalizing it in nukshim, in abundance. Nukshim from nukshu, taking it as a genitive singular here. And so he's the one who is the founder of the dwelling places for them in abundance. And then in the next line, the one who prescribed for all time, Meeks renders it, splendid sacrifices for Enki and Daum Galnuna. For Ea, Anna, Ea, or Enki. So for Ea or Enki, U Dam Gal Nuna, or Dam Gal Nuna, in other words, the one who prescribed for all time splendid sacrifices for Ea and Dam Gal Nuna. And then he continues on. The next line, I think I missed a couple words in my work that I prepared. That would be who prescribed for all time. But in the next phrase, we have the one who made great, who made his kingdom great. And this is in the next line, mu sharbu, from musharbu, a sheen participle, masculine singular, from rabu, to become great or to be great. So the one who caused to be great, sharutishu. Sharutishu would be the one who caused to be great of his kingdom, from sharitu, sharitu meaning kingdom, again genitive singular followed by shu, the pronominal suffix third masculine singular. And then the forever fixed, and I notice Meeks renders it the first of kings. And so Dari Ish, meaning forever, in my rendering of it, Ishimu, a G preterite, third masculine singular from Shamu, to fix or establish. So the fixed forever king, the established king forever. So I'm going to stop there and pick up, that's where I actually had stopped in working through this, pick up the next line later, that is the subduer of the settlements along the Euphrates and so forth. So we'll stop there on that line and later pick up on the next line, which would be line 21, 22, line 23, it looks like. And we'll continue through part 4. Again, I'm doing this for my own mental exercise. I don't claim to be an Akkadiologist, and I would welcome any suggestions. I'm just trying to actually keep myself mentally alive in what I learned years ago in my PhD program. But I hope this helps somebody. You need to find a transcription of Borger and follow along. And if you have any suggestions as to certain translations we made or grammatical points, feel free. I mean, because I'm in the learning process at this point. Thank you so much.